Well, today we continue our November Gratitude Sunday Talk series. And today we focus on gratitude for life. Now, if I were to ask 5 different people what that means to them, I know that I would get 5 or more completely different answers. Certainly most, if not all of us, are grateful for our life and for the life force within us. Certainly most, if not all of us, are grateful for the life that pulsates throughout the universe, throughout the galaxy. And as metaphysicians, yes, that's all of you, you are metaphysicians, I was curious to see how Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore defined life. And in his book, The Revealing Word, he writes, life is that expression of being. Now, being is another word for God. So life is that expression of being, or God, which manifests as animation, activity, vigor. Life is an idea in divine mind. And that too, divine mind, is another word for God. Life does not emanate from the mind, that's our mind. It is not a purely mental quality, nor does it spring from the physical. Life is divine, spiritual, and its source is God, Spirit. The river of life is within our spiritual consciousness. We come into consciousness of the river of life through the awareness of spirit. We can be truly infilled with new life and vitalized in mind and body only by consciously contacting spirit. Okay. So life can certainly be seen as our human body, and that's true, but it's not the full truth. For life is also a spiritual power. And as a spiritual power, life is indestructible and eternal. This divine power of life gives rise to the physical body. Invisible or spiritual life can take the shape invisible and in physical form. Yes, our human body has a beginning and an end, but not true with life. The principle of spiritual life does not have a finite beginning or a finite end. This life is eternal. It always has been, is now, and always will be. And I find it interesting, though, that Mr. Fillmore uses a physical metaphor in describing a spiritual concept, the river of life. And when you pause by a river, you see it moving, and yet you're unaware of the beginning and of the end. The life of the river is in its movement, and it is beautiful, compelling, life-giving, and it can even be destructive when it overflows its banks. For many of us, rivers and oceans, lakes, along with mountains and valleys, pastures, trees, grass, bushes, and on and on and on, represent a form of life, as does all that exists in nature. Now, prior to coming to Connecticut, I would definitely say that I was a city girl. I sometimes still say it. But I have to admit that since coming to Connecticut, this tiny little state, I have been more able to embrace nature than ever before. And I know that so many of you find a certain type of restoration or rejuvenation in nature. And while I agree with Mr. Fillmore that we can only access this divine power of life when we go within and raise our spiritual consciousness to be at one with the divine, I also agree with Mr. Fillmore that worry, fear, and anger closes the doorway to the divine. So what is a Unity Truth student to do? Well, how about being grateful for the life in nature and to step away from our cell phones and all of social media, even the news, to dwell even for a short time in nature? Yeah, certainly there must be some healing in nature. Well, scientific studies show that being in nature has an overwhelming positive influence on our brains and our behavior. Being in nature helps reduce stress, anxiety, worry, while increasing our ability to focus, be creative, as well as boost our ability to connect with others. Now, I've heard many of you say, I'm having such a hard time focusing. Well, maybe the answer lies out there, not in this little thing you carry around with you all the time. University of Utah researcher David Strayer writes, people have been discussing their profound experiences in nature for the last several hundred years, from Thoreau to John Muir to many other writers. Now we are seeing changes in the brain and changes in the body that suggest that we are physically and mentally more healthy when we are interacting with nature. While Strayer and other scientists firmly believe in the healing powers of the outdoor, still many of us spend a substantial amount of time indoors and online. The research on how nature improves our brain cells for spending more time outdoors to increase our health, happiness, and creativity is pretty clear and quite a lot. Strayer continues, if you've been using your brain to multitask, as most of us do, during most of the day, and then you set that aside and go on a walk without all the gadgets, you let the prefrontal cortex recover. And that's when we see these bursts in creativity, problem solving, and just feelings of well-being. Research does suggest that there's something special about being in nature that keeps us psychologically healthy. And I love this. Many of you know Rachel Carson. She's an American marine biologist, writer, conservationist. She says, those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. I don't know, I need a little bit more strength these days. Anybody else? Yeah. Being able to smell the fresh air and disconnect from the news and your phone may just be the perfect antidote to worry and fear. In the middle of what appears to be chaos and division, there is a tranquil and even a consciousness-raising physical life force that deserves our attention and gratitude. And that's nature, life. In fact, nature provides a stage for some of our most dramatic experiences of the sacred. Many people can tell you about a time when they were soothed, inspired, or in awe while contemplating the natural world. Some even describe it as a spiritual experience. Anybody here ever have a spiritual experience? Raise your hand. You're so shy today. Look at that, almost all of you. Well, during a search online in the great Google, I started to see how many, if not all, religions and spiritual practices recognize the importance of nature. Jews, Christians, and Muslims believe that the earth reflects the magnificence of God. Buddhists, Hindus, and Taoists look for the connection between nature and human nature. The Aboriginal people of the Americas, Africa, Asia, and Australia hold that the land and all its creatures upon it are spiritual teachers. Now, I love this. There's an author by the name of Wendell Berry, and he wrote this. I don't think it's enough appreciated how much an outdoor book the Bible is. Okay. Well, Thoreau said it is a book open to the sky. It is best read and understood outdoors, and the farther outdoors, the better. Within walls, Bible passages can seem improbable or incredible, while outdoors, they seem merely natural. This is because outdoors we are confronted everywhere with wonders. We see that the miraculous is not extraordinary, but the common mode of existence. It is our daily bread. Whoever has really considered the lilies of the field or the birds of the air and pondered the improbability of their existence in this warm world within the cold and empty stellar distances will hardly balk at the turning of water into wine, which was, after all, a very small miracle. We forget the greater and still continuing miracle by which water with soil and sunlight is turned into grapes. I am grateful for the life in nature and how nature can be a doorway to the divine and all of our spiritual powers. So I want you to think about these 5 compelling reasons to be thankful for the life of nature. First, for its healing power. Nature has an incredible ability to heal and rejuvenate. The calming influence of nature allows us to escape the demands of our busy life. And how about its breathtaking beauty? I am a waterfall fan, and I am so grateful that Connecticut has an amazing number of waterfalls. So you take time to appreciate that beauty because it fosters a sense of wonder and also encourages us to find joy in the simple yet extraordinary moments in nature. How about harmony? Recognizing and respecting the harmony in nature encourages a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness with all living beings and emphasizes the importance of preserving our nature right now. Inspiration. If you've got a problem to solve, nature has the answer. The colors, shapes, and patterns found in nature ignite our creativity and imagination. And just as a resource, nature provides us with the essential resources for our very survival. From the air we breathe to the water we drink and the food we eat, the very existence depends on these wonderful gifts of nature. Well, perhaps, like me, you might view nature as something that is there for us to delight in, to use, to feel the earth beneath our bare feet, or to feel the wind in our hair or the sun on our face. And then I found this incredible quote from Henry David Thoreau, and it got me thinking in a completely different way. He says, "Forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair." To think of nature as having some type of intelligent beingness brings a smile to my face. And to think it delights in me brings much love in my heart. In fact, many people believe that there is much wisdom to be learned from nature. That if we could become still and observant, we may hear the wisdom of our own soul. We may find the path within to our God, to our divine powers, despite all our worries and fears. Some people say even the trees can teach us. Anyone believe that? Anyone believe that? Oh, good, all right. So, well, today's service, I've asked several people to bring to mind their favorite tree or to select a tree that could be their favorite. Okay. I also gave them the option of selecting a tree from this book. It's a book on loan from a dear friend, and the book is titled How to Be More Tree by Liz Marvin. So we're going to have some fun, and yes, we can have fun in church, especially in a Unity church. So I asked Willie here. So Willie, could you stand up and tell us what tree that is your favorite tree, or could be your favorite tree?
Oak tree.
The oak tree. All right. Let's see what the oak tree wants to tell us. I heard other people go, "Oh yeah, that's mine too." Okay. Here it is. Ready? It says, make the most of downtime. Sleep deprivation is about as useful to trees as it is to people. After a busy summer spent photosynthesizing, oh, I got that out right. After a busy summer spent photosynthesizing madly, winter is all about the Z's. Shedding leaves might seem easy if you've never done it, but it's actually quite an active process. Trees like the oak, whose leaves go brown in autumn, absorb the nutrients back into their trunks and then grow a barrier of cells between twig and leaf before letting the leaves go. Pretty exhausting stuff. So they put their boughs up and sit out the long, dark nights of winter, contentedly doing very little. So that's your permission to rest. Yes. Thank you, Willie. And Kate, what is your favorite tree?
My favorite tree is a beech wood.
A beech tree, okay. A beech tree. I have to find, oh, there it is. Page 66, okay. Beech tree. Anybody else like the beech tree? Yeah. Okay. So the heading is, figure out what's really bothering you. She wasn't ready for that. Okay. Okay, there we go. We all have times when we feel a bit off kilter, but can't put our finger on exactly why. Spending time on a bit of self-reflection is often the key to getting back on track. Now, even though trees don't have a lot of options when it comes to solving problems, scientists now think that they have more tools for this at their disposal than previously assumed. For example, the beech can tell if it has been nibbled by a deer, and if so, will release tannins to make it taste horrible. If it has simply lost a twig to the wind, it will only produce the hormones it needs to seal off that area and heal. So be more beech and take some time to figure out the cause of your broken twigs. And so, Lois, I asked you, what was your favorite tree?
Maple.
Maple. Okay, let's see. Anybody else like maple? Yeah, absolutely. Where is it here? London, L. How can maybe it's called sugar maple. That's it. I didn't know that. 81. Yeah. All right. So that's it, right? Yeah. So, Maple, the topic is look after the next generation. Mhm. We all felt like a small sapling in a big forest at some point. So when you start to get a bit more established with a little patch of sunlight to call your own, don't forget the little guys coming up behind you. Woodland trees like the sugar maple use their underground networks to pump sugars to the younger generation who might be struggling in the shade. So look around. Does anyone in your forest need a bit of help to get them growing? Yeah. So thank you to all our tree selectors. Yeah, thank you. It's a wonderful little book, How to Be More Tree. So this week, when you're feeling stressed, I know this is not for any of you here, when you're feeling stressed, tired, overwhelmed, or just out of sorts, proclaim your gratitude for life. And then take a walk outside and truly observe. Breathe deeply into this wonderful fresh air, allowing it to fill your lungs, or simply stand still and soak up the night sky, or maybe even go to the beach and walk along the water and hear the waves crashing and the birds singing. Now, if you say, oh, I wish I could do that, but I'm so busy, so busy. I know I've never said that, right? Well, here's some advice from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk. Whenever animals in the forest are wounded, they rest. They look for a quiet place and just stay there without moving for possibly days. They know it's the best way for their body to heal. The wisdom of stopping and healing, resting, is still alive in animals. But we human beings have lost the capacity to rest. Now, I don't believe that last part. I think we do still have that capacity. And nature can help us with that. It is a constant source of physical and spiritual healing, as well as helping us to find another doorway to our God. This week, take the time to appreciate and be grateful for our individual and collective lives, and take the time to be grateful for nature. Take the time to rest in nature and allow its wisdom to support you in letting go, if only for a short time, of your worries and fears. And so finally, as this former city girl who would hate to be caught in the rain. Oh no, it's raining. I no longer feel that way. And I was delighted to find this quote from Langston Hughes. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat upon your head with silver liquid drops. Let the rain sing you a lullaby. Well, I am grateful for the rain and for all of nature. I'm grateful for the divine power of life individually and within all of you. Namaste.